Hello and welcome. So, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all our audiences, and a very warm welcome to you, Brian.
Great to see you again, Andy. How's everything been?
Yeah, good to see you. Yeah, it's been interesting. It's been a very busy period. So today is Thursday, the 20th of April, and it is pretty close to the second Thursday of the month, and we're back again. So we're very lucky today to have Brian Quinlivan from Santiment, and we're gonna be going through some pretty interesting data, aren't we, Brian?
We sure are. Yeah, obviously Bitcoin jumped above 30K and Ethereum went above 2K and both then dipped below again today. So we're dancing right around that range right now as the bulls and bears have a bit of a tug of war right now.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. So again, Brian, we come on once a month, and we try to see what's happening in the market, and we read the I guess we read the tea leaves, or we see on chain data analytics to see what's happening. So I think we'll just kick it off, and over to you, Brian.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and share my screen and we can talk about some metrics.
That's perfect. So how have you been, Brian?
I've been well, Andy. How's everything on your end? I've been recovering from a bit of a cold, but
uh
overall enjoying seeing the markets have some volatility again.
yeah, yeah. Oh, sorry to hear about the cold. I hope you're feeling much better. You look much better today.
Thank you. I greatly appreciate it. So can you see my screen okay?
Yeah, I think it's just there you go.
Great. So here's what the past 30 days look like. If I sort by largest to smallest market cap assets, we can see that Bitcoin is still up 4% over the past 30 days, Ethereum up 11%. And then XRP has been a big star of the show, the second best performing asset among the top 100 assets, only behind Radix. And
Oh,
XRP obviously has been aided by trader optimism that their lawsuit may come to an end in the near future. That's gotten people a little more interested in investing in the number 6 ranked market cap asset. We can also see that the social volume for Bitcoin has jumped up 59% over the past 30 days compared to the 30 days before it. And that's undoubtedly a result of that 30K psychological support being breached, people getting excited, and a few people merging their interests back over to the number one market cap asset as altcoins have kind of lagged behind here as of late. So we see that Avalanche and Litecoin have been doing all right as well. Cardano and Dogecoin. If you remember, toward the beginning of the month, Mr. Musk changed the Twitter icon to a Doge logo. So that got some newbies interested in Dogecoin who hadn't previously been too interested or even had known about Dogecoin. So, Elon Musk did exactly what he intended to do, I'm sure, and pumped Dogecoin temporarily. And that gave it a nice little boost. But yeah, I mean, the story is really the social volume moving over to Bitcoin. And, Ethereum has been about even. Cardano getting a lot more discussion, as has XRP. But you'll notice overall, if we go over here, this is the overall amount of discussion related to crypto over the past month. And we can see that it has been declining a little bit as of late, really since pretty gradually over the past 30 days, outside of this one little outlier here, as prices erupted about 10 days ago and breached 30K. It's just kind of been a gradual decline in discussion. So even with that temporary excitement, the overall interested parties that are talking about crypto right now are fairly limited. And we can see that on Telegram, fairly normal, Reddit, fairly normal. Twitter, definitely seeing a decline there, as we're seeing with Reddit. And 4chan is actually holding suit. So 4chan there tends to be a lot more polarization. People are either very bullish or very bearish. We've only had 4chan data for a little over a month, so it's relatively new to us, but we've learned that it's a pretty fascinating social platform to get some extra social analysis out of things. And then over here, you can see the trending words. I'll actually put it up on the big screen here. So these are the topics that are seeing the most discussion relative to their normal discussion rates. So if they have a big percentage increase, they show up on this top 10 hourly trend list. And you can see Pepe, this is the meme frog, that's #1 right now. Gensler, obviously has been talking a lot about crypto and whether they're securities or not. Gary Gensler, the SEC. So a lot of political stuff. Donald Trump here you can see as well. And then some other various asset-related discussions. So it's a nice mixed bag right now. And these top 10 words amount to about 5.5% of the total discussion on crypto platforms right now, which is pretty high for a top 10.
Yeah, that's interesting to see Gensler there at #2 because I think it was all over Twitter yesterday and other social media platforms on how he was, I guess, grilled by Congress, right? He appeared before Congress, and those were some pretty interesting conversations, shall I say? Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's definitely stirred the pot a bit, and that's undoubtedly had some effect on the polarization of prices right now.
Oh yeah.
Now, besides that, as we always do on our monthly call, I think it's a good idea to visit what's going on with the whales. And you can notice there's a couple extra lines here. I've added True USD and USDP Paxos, and they've both been declining in whale wallets pretty rapidly. You can see how Paxos had this huge ascension about 5 weeks ago and then has pretty much given it all back. So whatever was going on, I think probably related to a lot of people dumping DAI for Paxos for the time being, and they were dumping USDC here. So Paxos benefited from that. But as the trust has come back to those two assets, USDP kind of went right back to where it started. Tether continues its climb up, and this is the most important stablecoin line for obvious reasons. It's the largest market cap stablecoin out there. So when whales are doing this with their buying power, it's generally a good sign. So I like to see that. Bitcoin, as far as what these sharks and whales, and holding anywhere between 10 to 10,000 BTC, very wide range. They hold about 2/3 of the supply at this moment, 66.64%. Not quite moving in the direction we want still. It was up at 68.23% 6 months ago. So it has dropped about 1.5% or so. I did like to see that this uptick happened here from the 10th to the 17th before dropping back again yesterday. We'll see what it looks like at the end of today on Santiment. But for now, the long-term trend hasn't really changed, and we still see Bitcoin whales looking like that. And we'd like it to look the other way around. So whale-wise, not a lot to be too excited about. If we look at the social dominance, though, related to Bitcoin, look at how the narrative just really shifted, even going back here to March 11th, when it was actually dropping above 20K one last time before it absolutely took off. That's normal. You'll see Bitcoin be talked about more when it's either doing exceptionally well or people are exceptionally worried because of the price performance being bad. So it has climbed back, especially after it jumped over 25K and eventually 30K here. Social dominance for Bitcoin is definitely back on the menu, and this is a good long-term bullish signal. If it continues, we tend to see dominance in the #1 asset as opposed to dominance in Dogecoin and assets that at least in many of our opinions don't have the objective value. So with Bitcoin being talked about more organically, pumps tend to come a little more often, and this is how bull markets typically start if this is sustained for a long enough period of time and other metrics are setting up better. And moving over to some of the on-chain metrics, we can see the trading volume had a bit of a spike here back in March, but look at how it's dropped off. Even with the ascension to 30K, this isn't exactly an exciting signal when you see the trading volume is just going down. This is a pretty classic bearish divergence on the trading volume side because it's going down, price is still going up, not ideal. Transaction volume on chain, it hasn't even really moved. It's just been way lower ever since the FTX collapse. And who knows, maybe it's because the people on FTX haven't quite all moved over to alternative options and they just got out of crypto entirely. On the other hand, daily active addresses are looking better. I can see right now that the average unique addresses interacting on the BTC network per day is at about 869,000. If we go back to this low point in late January, it was about 100,000 addresses less. So we like to see that utility is picking up, at least on the active address side. Not quite such a great story on the circulation side. It's really just staying low. And if we look at this NVT model, you can see, Andy, we're in our 9th straight month now of a bearish divergence according to this model, which should have some effect in preventing too much of a sustained bull market from happening until this outlook starts to get a bit better.
Oh, interesting. I guess, Brian, maybe we'll pause a little while and have a little chat about. So does this 30K and obviously this is not financial advice, but I guess potentially the the data may be pointing to perhaps that the 30K may not be sustainable.
Yeah, I think we are seeing a few bearish divergences right now, which, so far it's come to fruition because we did fall back below 30K fairly quickly after it kind of ran out of fumes in the high 30Ks a few days ago. So, short-term wise, we need things to look a bit better. Long-term wise, we still have the halving almost exactly 1 year from now. So that's good to see. It's 74% there. MVRV is also a little inflated, which isn't the best sign. We'd prefer to see these two lines below the zero axis, not above, because this shows that average trading returns on the BTC network are positive right now. When you take all of the returns over the past 30 days or the past 365 days, they're both well in profit now.
Yeah, that's interesting. Actually, speaking of halvings, I think Litecoin is halving this year.
Are
And
they?
yeah, I think that's in August.
Mm-hmm.
Could we perhaps take a look at some metrics for Litecoin?
Yeah, let's take a look at what's going on.
Just curious, see what's happening.
All right, so Litecoin doesn't look like it's doing anything special on the trading volume end. It has obviously bounced quite big since its low on March 11th. It's gone up 35%, so a nice 5-week run for it. Daily active addresses staying very low. Circulation also very low. So utility-wise, there's some concerns in Litecoin being able to make a big run. I also see that the 30-day MVRV is up pretty high right now at plus 20%. That's not what you want to see. So short-term wise, we may see a bit of a correction considering the 35% run that it's been on, despite the lack of utility on chain. That's something you have to be a bit concerned about. Whale transactions staying pretty low. I found it interesting. I noticed this a couple months ago, but $1 million plus transactions were going nuts for a little while, and I haven't found a reason for it yet. Litecoin tends to be one of the more anonymous blockchains out there where you don't really hear too much discussion about it, but you see these weird anomalies pop up from time to time. So right now, we had a couple big spikes, and then they just kind of normalized and went back down to normal. So interesting, but not much we can really analyze about that.
Okay.
It's at $91 now, so looking at a few key tiers like the 10,000 100,000 tier, they've been declining a little bit. 100,000 to 1 million have been declining, and 1 million to 10 million Litecoin addresses have also been declining. So the whales here don't seem to be showing a lot of accumulation signs. We could, of course, go down to the sharks, and they definitely are. But I put more weight on this blue, red, and yellow line, and they aren't looking too good. Nothing special on the ratio of transaction volume and profit to loss. Dormant coins are not really moving. Network realized profit loss, nothing special there. We are seeing a pretty big uptick in social dominance. Do you happen to know any reason why there'd be an increased discussion over the past month? Is it just related to the anticipation of the halving?
I mean, I'm just taking a wild guess here. I'm thinking potentially. I think the halving is happening in August, and I think the last halving, Litecoin peaked in May. 4 years ago. So I think potentially that could be what's happening.
Mm-hmm. That could make sense, yeah. But it is interesting to see that, an OG asset like LTC is starting to see this big bump in interest. And that's also pushed its weighted sentiment into positive territory, which is another concerning sign. You'd prefer to see people having FUD toward an asset. That tends to be when bottoms hit. And then development activity, it doesn't really tend to have much going on the network at any given time. I also wanted to look at Ethereum really quick. We put out an article today.
Cool.
And I also want to make time for us to briefly talk about its correlation with equities right now, because I know that's always an interesting topic on your channel. But check out this article that we posted today. This was right after it fell back below 2,000. But there were some promising signs, mainly the fact that there was some huge dormant circulation going on with two different addresses that were both holding 150,000 Ethereum. They suddenly shed all of that. And that's not necessarily a bad sign, but that Ethereum does go somewhere else. And these were very dormant addresses that didn't really move their assets, but they had been holding that exact 150,000 Ethereum stash since November of 2018. So we're talking 4.5 years of just sitting there stagnant. And that's what created this big spike here, the fifth largest in the past 7 months. And you look at the previous big spikes, 1, 2, 3, 4. Every time that happened, you can see Ethereum jumped up right after. Even this mini one, and especially this one, this marked kind of the biggest bottom over the past year. So there's no guarantee that this is what happens with Ethereum, but considering it happened on a dip, just like these previous four, Ethereum could have something brewing right now, at least according to historical evidence.
Nice. That's a nice analysis right there. Nice find.
Yeah. It was one of our team members who brought it to my attention. And we can also see that the mean dollar invested age line here dropped to the biggest drop it's had in, I think, something like 9 months or so. And if it continues to go down, this is a sign that the average age of coins sitting in addresses is starting to become much younger. And if the curve starts going down, those are the signals we look for to signal a full-on bull run. So this may just be a blip in the radar, or it could be the start of a long curve down, and then you want to really jump into Ethereum knowing that one of the biggest bull run signals is flashing.
Nice. Obviously, this isn't financial advice. So if you're watching, this is not financial advice. But that's nice analysis right there.
Right.
That's that's
Yeah,
awesome.
at Santiment, we always try to just play probabilities, right? If we
Yes.
see similar signals that have sparked bull runs in the past, we'll report it as such, and you can make your own opinions. If you like to trust patterns that normally suggest something is bullish or bearish, it's ultimately your decision, and then we're not going to be telling you what to do.
That is so cool.
But check it out. This is one of those whale addresses. You can see they jumped in November of 2018, held it for 4.5 years, 150,000 Ethereum, which is currently valued, by the way, at $297 million. And then they just dropped it today.
Wow.
Same one here. This is a different address, exact same pattern. So probably owned by the same person or group of people. And they decided today was the day to let it go.
Interesting.
So it's hard to really take much of a sample size when they've really made only 2 transactions each, one to put all the Ethereum in and one to take it all out. But it is interesting to see that they were about 2 weeks away from the pure 5-year bottom. That's when they entered. So they got in a little under $125, and they jumped out here at effectively right around $2,000. So that's a pretty nice, 18x return or so.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd say, on the Bitcoin side of things, it looks a bit dicey. It actually looks a little bit better with this dormant signal on the Ethereum side. But as always, we have to ride it out with Bitcoin and make sure that network is healthy enough to sustain the rest of the crypto sphere at any given time. And I wanted to get your take on kind of what's going on with equities right now, Andy, because it's been an interesting ride. They have been coming back up, obviously, over the past 5 or so weeks, as has gold, and Bitcoin's been right there with them. But what do you think about everything going on with the economy and interest rates, all of that?
Yeah, I mean it's interesting times now, isn't it? I mean, you've got extremes in terms of news coming out from both sides. I mean, on one hand, we've just had 3 banks collapse in the U.S. and that scared a lot of people. And then you actually saw the U.S. dollar dropping against most major currencies. But then now the U.S. dollar is coming back strong again. Like it's coming back. I guess Jerome and his pals managed to put together a structure in place to build confidence back in the banking system, in the U.S. banking system. It's, I mean, I all I can say is it's really interesting times to be living in right now. I mean, we're literally watching history being made, on both sides. Like you've got the new and you've got the existing, and trying to find a path to what what the future is going to be like. Just to look back at history. I mean, can we imagine when we went from horse and carriage to using cars, right? Where there weren't any roads yet, like no roads were built yet, right? It didn't seem like it was any use of any use at all. But then look at us now. I mean, who wants to ride a horse? Nobody wants to, unless it's for fun. But obviously, to get from A to B, we're obviously we've all gone and moved onto cars now. So I think we're at a point of inflection in time where technologies run way ahead, and I guess the law is catching up. It's just interesting because I think now last year value stocks were up and growth stocks, or tech stocks were down. I think maybe there's I guess tech will always be there because even though good times or bad times, I guess it's just the number of companies that will be around to actually build stuff. But tech stocks will always, I mean, tech companies will always be building. They'll always be doing something better, more efficient, faster,
Yep.
yeah. So I'm always, I guess I'm a perma bull for tech because I guess I understand that the tech cycles, and I see how it can actually make our lives better. And throughout history, technology has improved society, has improved lifestyle in terms of making things better, making us live longer and stuff like that.
Agreed.
So yeah, so I interesting times. Maybe we need to zoom out a little and just write this through. But I think obviously, um, value stocks will always be there, and they were good because um, they were good last year when everything else dropped, right? Because then the money reverted to risk off, and they were into value stocks. Right now, I think we're kind of we're trying to figure that out. You know, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if it crosses this February 2nd high here. Just like analyzing a crypto stock, sometimes if it crosses that $41.80 mark, the S&P 500, that is, it could be off to the races from there. So it'll be, if we start to correct just below 41.80 here at about 41.54, where it is now, that means that we might have gotten a little bit too excited about this recent rally. If it crosses, I like the sign of bulls becoming more bullish and really pumping up those markets higher. But as you said, tech is always building and innovating and making life easier for people. And the population is certainly still getting higher every single day around the world. And that means more demand for products and higher GDPs all around. So I'm with you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I think we're time's almost up.
Yeah, it looks like about a half hour here, right on the nose. So
Yeah, yeah. Hey, it was great to see you, Brian, and thanks so much for sharing. Yeah, any last words that you'd like to share with the audience?
no, I don't think so. It's nothing new for us to tell you that this is an interesting time. It seemingly always is in crypto, but
Yeah,
um, at least for now, we have a lot of SEC discussion, which is good, honestly, in my opinion. I think it is bringing crypto back onto the map for a lot of people who hadn't been thinking about it for a few years. So, with that in mind, any news is good news as far as bringing crypto to the mainstream.
yeah, definitely. I agree. I agree. And for those of you out there, I mean, if you're new to crypto, if you're considering crypto, or even if you still think that crypto is a scam, or it's a Ponzi scheme, I would encourage you to do more research and find out more information about it and go deeper into the subject to understand it. Then that'll give you greater insights, and you may then decide, hey, maybe this crypto thing isn't so bad. Again, not financial advice, but here at Equities Tracker as well as at Santiment, and that's why we work so well together. We're both very data driven organizations, right? So we look towards the data to help us make our decisions on investments, really. And so we're just happy to be here to share with you. And if you'd like to know more about um, Sentiment, or if you'd like to know more about Equities Tracker, do check us out on our websites. And Brian, did you want to share about Sentiment's? It's a if you sign up, it's a you get a there's a promo code where
It's flashing
you
on
get
the screen right now. Equities
there you go.
Tracker, 25% off. Just head over to app.santiment.net/pricing. Add that slash pricing at the end, and you'll be taken straight to the page where you can get a 1-week trial right away. And then once the trial's over, assuming you liked what you saw, and I promise you will, we've got the most comprehensive data on any crypto data platform in the world, then you can get 25% off using this code. And people like myself and the rest of our team are really dedicated and talk to our community on a daily basis on Discord. So we welcome one and all here from Andy's great community.
Yes, definitely, definitely, and I use Santiment every day. Even if I don't make trades for the day, I just want to know what's happening. I have a quick glance just to see what's going on and see if there's anything out of the ordinary that grabs my attention. And obviously, Brian puts out a lot of great stuff, so I track what Brian's putting out as well.
I
Yeah.
do my best. Do my best. I appreciate the kind words.
Yeah. So, all right. Thank you, guys. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you gained some insights from this, and then wishing everyone a great day ahead, or a nice evening, or enjoy the rest of the day, and have a nice evening to you, Brian.
You betcha. Right back at you, Andy. And looking forward to catching up next month to see just how well our slightly bearish metrics are predicting the future.
Yeah, we're definitely looking forward to that, as well as let's see what happens with Ethereum.
You betcha.
All right. Well, have a great one. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, guys. Talk soon.
Bye bye.